Hi, my name is Kerrie Ann Auclair. Welcome to Sisters in Arms.
And I'm Renee Gagne. Together we serve as a Second Amendment resource for our communities.
And today's episode is about the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and we're going to also touch upon what's going on in Massachusetts and talk about some petitions that we've been doing.
Yeah.
So,
can we talk about what's been going on with you in the last week?
Oh God.
You had an Armed Women of America meeting last night?
I had an Armed Women of America meeting last night, which was great, and we had a Halloween event, so we shot a bunch of paper pumpkins and paper, bats, and had contests, so it was fun.
Awesome.
Yep, so we kind of went over a little bit of the fundamentals, and then we went into the range and just shot some pumpkins and some bats,
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep, and I've been traveling, so we went to the Gun Rights Policy Conference. I just went to the Scouts meeting over the weekend, which was awesome. What an event. And we should talk about that another time because it was really impressive.
Yeah.
And they do so much for those kiddos. So that was a really great experience.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then I went to the Gun Rights Policy Conference. So we'll talk upon that. So the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and Renee will explain who and where it comes from, but the mission is to saving lives, protecting property, and preserving rights. It's a nonprofit, and basically it was a 3-day event. So we ended up going there, and a bunch of people from all over the place went there. So it was like Gun Owners Action League. There was several kind of groups like Gun Owners Action League from other states that were there. Some big names like Charlie Cook was there, John Petrolino was there. So we had a bunch of attorneys that came and spoke, and then the first day was AmCon, which was basically teaching us all about the Second Amendment and how we can really try to protect the Second Amendment together, and different techniques and tips, and it was really impressive. So
yeah, that's awesome. So it's national. Everybody from all over America
Yep,
comes and meets.
So the gun rights policy is part of the Second Amendment Foundation, but Kim has a really great photo. She'll pull that up and then we'll explain a little bit more. This photo is great, so let me just kind of explain this photo. So the DC project, it was formerly known as, now it's Women for Gun Rights. So that is all the Women for Gun Rights. So they were there as well.
Well, it's not all of them. It's just a few.
Yeah, it's a few of them. It's there's Cheryl Todd, Holly Sullivan, and I apologize because there was a few women that I recently met and I forgot their names, but. And it was so great seeing our sisters and being part of the event. Cheryl Todd spoke, Amanda spoke, I spoke, and Susan Myers spoke as well. So yeah, it was great. And we have a little explanation about what the Second Amendment Foundation is.
Yeah, so the Second Amendment Foundation is dedicated to safeguarding and promoting the fundamental rights of individuals enshrined in the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. The Second Amendment Foundation engages in aggressive legal action to ensure the principles of armed self-defense, personal liberty, and the ownership of arms are defended, secured, and restored. Through public education initiatives, SAF teaches the importance of the Second Amendment to promote a society that values and exercises the right to keep and bear arms.
I love it. And so I have in front of me, like, empower, educate, defend, right? And this is the whole entire, itinerary of the days and all the amazing speakers that we had, and it was pretty impressive.
Now, do they meet once a year?
Yep.
For a big, huge conference?
Yes, so they meet once a year, and I had the privilege of finally getting to meet some really amazing patriots that,
yeah.
I mean, honestly, by the end of my trip, it was really just emotional for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm seeing some real big heavy hitters in the 2A community listed here, so I can't wait for you to dive into this.
Yep. So I do want to mention the MCs for the event. We had Mark Walters and then Charlie Cook, and I'll go into who they were. But so we have, I was able to meet Massad Ayoob. And so I have a picture of me with Massad, and I'll tell you, he sounds and seems so intimidating, but when I met him, he's so kind and amazing. So he's the president of SAF, so Second Amendment Foundation, and he really is something. And if you go onto the website, which is saf.org, and pull up About Us, it really kind of explains to you who he is and what he's done. I couldn't even go into everything in detail, but it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then I got to meet Alan Gottlieb. So I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong. Alan Gottlieb. I'm always pronouncing that wrong. So the executive vice president. So he was very sweet as well. So it's like you see all these heavy hitters and you're intimidated to meet them, and then when you meet them, they're just like us, trying to protect our civil rights and
we're
our
all
Second
working
Amendment.
together.
Yep, we're all
get the
working
job
together.
done.
Yep, perfect. And then Adam Kraut. He came to our, you met him before. He was at our
In DC?
rally.
Yeah, with DC?
No, he was at our rally.
Oh, in Boston?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
He's the one that, he was speaking there as well.
Nice.
Yep.
And he's the executive director.
Yes.
Yes.
And so he actually contacted me and asked if I could speak at the
Nice.
conference, and it was like 50 minutes long. I'm just saying, it was.
Well, that's because he saw you in Boston. You were good in Boston, so your name's out there now,
Woo!
girl.
Yep. And I just want to mention Lauren Hill, Vice President of Development, Julian Hoy Versnell. Yep. Vice President of International Outreach, Special Assistant to the Executive Vice President of SAF, Matt Coffey. I met all of them, Bill Sachs, Donna Wilson. So Bill Sachs was the Director of Legal Operations, and Matt Coffey was the Vice President of Communications, and Dana Wilson, she was in charge of, she's a gifts officer. So all these people were putting this event on. It was quite an event. So they need a pat on the back for sure, because that was impressive, because I do this every year. So some special guests. Let's talk about some special guests we had. So we had Charlie Cook riding shotgun
It's
from
always
Charlie.
fun to see Charlie. It's always, he's such a fun guy.
Yep, and he was the MC for Sunday, which is the day that I spoke, and I was so happy. So here's Charlie Cook. Gotta love Charlie Cook. And the other MC was Mark Walters. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of him, and I wish I did. So he's a syndicated host of 2 radio programs, Armed America Radio and Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. So that's pretty cool. John Petrolino, we all know John.
Love him. Love John.
Yep, he has.
Decoding Firearms.
Yeah.
The book he wrote. I bought 20 copies.
I know.
I literally
one
bought
of the
20
girls
copies.
actually won a
Yeah,
copy. Yeah.
I give them away in
Last
raffles.
night.
I mean, it's a fantastic book.
Yep, and he's also, so AKA the Penn Patriot, appearing in Bearing Arms, Armaland, Second Press, The Truth About Guns, the Save New Jersey blog, and the News 2A, and oh my God, so much more. So he's very talented patriot who we have a pleasure of knowing. Now, did you meet Jared?
Jardinas. No, I didn't, but I watch his show. I love Guns and Gadgets. I love listening to him. He's got a great voice.
Jared is awesome.
Yeah. I hear he has coffee too, and it's amazing.
Oh my gosh, you got to check out the coffee.
I want to check out the coffee.
Yep. And of course, we got Cheryl Todd from Arizona State Director for Women for Gun Rights. She's also the executive producer of co-host of Gun Free Radio.
And she always wears polka dots.
And polka dots.
And I love it.
So what is the camo polka dots? What do you remember?
No.
That's her thing though, polka dots.
Polka dots, yes.
Yep.
Like Michael Jackson
My
has the
ammo
white
is my
glove.
polka dots or something. Oh, I can't remember. She's
Oh, her camo.
That's it.
Her camouflage is her
Yep.
polka dots.
Her
yeah.
camouflage is her polka
Yeah.
dots. So let's see. I can't ever imitate her. Gun Free Radio.
She's got a great voice too.
Amanda Suffolk, Regional Director for Women for Gun Rights. She also is the producer and co-host of Eye on the Target Radio. Susan Myers. You remember Susan Myers?
Wee little Susan.
Wee little
She is
Susan.
very mighty, and she's about this tall.
Mighty. That's exactly right.
She is mighty.
And then Mark Smith, of course.
There she is. There's Susan right there.
Yep.
Like, you
And
can't even see how
I'll
little she is.
have to
She's
tell
the
you, when
sweetest
she
thing.
got up to speak, she was fabulous. And so she spoke, someone else did, and then I went up, and we actually had a lot of gentlemen come up to both of us and say that our speeches resonated with them very deeply, because they either had, a woman that was involved heavily in firearms, or there was a story, or they wanted their fiance or wife to get more involved and they couldn't figure out how to get them to understand the importance, and they couldn't wait to show them our speeches. So I thought that was pretty impressive, and that meant a lot for us. And but she did a fabulous job.
Well, I've heard both of you speak, because you're both part of the Women for Gun Rights, and it's emotional. Like, you bring to the table something that a lot of men don't when they speak, and I don't mean to be sexist when I say it, but women just bring this element to their speaking that is not there usually when the men speak, and you're just kind of like listening, because we all have a mom or a sister or a cousin, like you said.
This was probably the hardest speech I've ever done, and I think because, first off, it was 15 minutes long. So, but it was hard for me, because when I speak, sometimes I get emotionally wrapped up into.
Plus you have all these people in front of you that
heavy hitters that were watching me.
It's not like this show where we're like talking to cameras, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, it's different.
It is different, and we were being live streamed as well. And so, let me just tell you a funny story, because I think this was ironically interesting how this all kind of fell into my speech. So I got on the plane. It's a 6-hour flight. I'm afraid of flying. As you already know, you witnessed it. I make noises. It's horrible. It's embarrassing. So ironically, I sat next to a pilot that flew a different airline, but flew the same size plane.
Yeah.
So he, introduces himself. I introduce myself. We start talking. I tell him I'm afraid of flights, and he starts talking to me about the plane, and he starts educating me on the plane.
Oh, wow.
In hopes that that's going to help me not be so fearful. And you know what? He did.
Oh, did it help?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
he brought up this map and explained to me the turbulence and
wow.
everything else. And we had some turbulence, like rough turbulence. And so I felt a little bit better. And so he asked me why I was going to California. I told him a gun rights policy conference. And, you always take that big gulp before you say anything, because you don't know. It's 6 hours,
Right,
it could go good or bad.
Is this guy going to turn away and be like, okay then?
And so at the end of the flight, he says to me, he goes, "It's funny that you're afraid of flying, but you're not afraid of speaking." And I said, "Oh no, I'm so afraid of speaking." But
I'm afraid of that too.
As Lena Michalik says, just do it scared. And I learned that from Susan Myers. When I got to California, I told her the story, and I told her I was so scared. She goes, "Do it like Lena says." And she told me, and we found the quote, and sure enough, it was there. So I was able to use that as part of my speech. And I told him the story about the flight, and I said, as Lena Michalik says, I'm just going to do it scared. So here I go. And I went into it. And then I had everybody stand and look around the room at the amazing patriots that were there together trying to preserve our civil rights. It was really a very emotional, and honestly, at the end of the speech, you sit there and you say to you all do, you're your worst own critic, and I'm like, that was awful.
Right.
I get off the stage, and it wasn't as bad as I thought, and everybody complimented me, and I got a very big compliment from Mark Walters, which was a huge honor, and so what a crazy, amazing trip that was.
It's just really nice to see women get up and speak and advocate, because there was a time when women did not do that.
Right.
There were no women advocates.
Right. No.
It wasn't that long ago.
And there's a face of gun ownership that hasn't really included us, and I think that's changed a bit now, and I think that's something to be part of,
I mean,
we're part of that history, which is really amazing.
I mean, let's take it down to at a state level, like Gun Owners Action League, like hiring you, right? Like there was never a female face to Gun Owners Action League,
right?
Like Angie was always there, but she was behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You're like out front, center, microphone.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, whether you like it or not. But I mean, that's goes to show how times are changing, right? All of these advocacy groups are grabbing these women that feel very strongly about the Second Amendment, and they're using them also to be the forefront of.
And to be able to network there, and people, like I felt very comfortable because I felt like it was almost like going to a DC trip. I mean, Women for Gun Rights trip.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and so when I got there, I knew all those women that were in that picture.
Right.
I knew Charlie Cook, John, I knew this one and that one.
Right.
I was familiar, I knew Adam, which was a big, huge help. And I felt comfortable.
Right.
And then it started, and you're like, whew, there's a lot of people here that are extremely smart and
Been doing it for
been doing
way
it
longer.
for a longer time than I have.
It can be intimidating.
And it was intimidating, but ultimately, and another thing that happened, which I was really excited about, so Gold received an award, the Grassroots Organizations Award, and I think there's a picture of me. Oh wait, so we skipped a couple pictures, but I think there's a picture of me holding the award. But
because you were
there
there to accept it for
I
gold,
was there
right?
to accept it, which I didn't know we were going to get. So it was, again, the Grassroots Organization of the Year in recognition of tireless hard work and dedication to preserving of the individual rights to keep and bear arms. So I didn't know that was coming.
You're probably better that way.
Yep, and I got a great picture with Alan as well, holding the award, and that's me speaking. And I know we have a couple other pictures speaking. Amanda took that great photo.
That's a great picture.
Yep, and
you look really tall.
I know. I'm like, wow. And Charlie Cook in the background with the flag. It was just a wonderful experience. So, and it was a wonderful honor to be able to accept that award because that was amazing. And then I took a picture of it and sent it to the group. Look what we got. So anyways, going back to, Second Amendment Foundation and being able to get to the conference like that we were able to, and everybody was able to kind of tell everybody what was going on in their state. So let's go to what's going on in our state. So you've heard about the petitions.
Yes.
So the Civil Rights Coalition.
Our state, Massachusetts. For any of our listeners that are like, where are they from again?
So the Civil Rights Coalition, so it's the civilrightscoalition.com. You can find out some more information. You can also go to gold.org. We have some information there as well. So Toby Leary, he owns Cape Gunworks, and he has his own radio station, Rapid Fire Radio. He does an amazing job. So he's the chairman. Wendy Wakeman is the director of signatures, and basically the whole purpose of these signatures was to get it on the 2026 ballot as a question. And also, if we got enough signatures, we would have been able to suspend the bill temporarily for 2 years as the bill was getting ready to get on the ballot. Unfortunately, the Governor Maura Healey decided to do an emergency preamble, which basically stops us being able to suspend the bill. However, we were still able to successfully get it onto the ballot for 2026.
Because we got enough signatures.
Oh, and I can't even tell you, like the numbers at this point is 75,276 confirmed from the State House.
Yeah, and we only needed 50?
We needed 50, and I'm telling you right now, we're probably going to reach 100.
Well, so we're 100% on the ballot.
Yep,
is
we're
what you're
100%
saying.
on the ballot. Unfortunately, her doing what she did just kind of squashed us a little bit in that way, but we're not giving up because the question I have is, what was the emergency?
Yeah, my question, and I've asked everyone from Goal, like what is 4885 fixing?
Nothing.
I asked that. I asked Jim Wallace, and I was waiting for his answer, and that's what he said.
Nothing.
It's fixing nothing. There was never a problem in Massachusetts.
No, so why are you fixing something that's not, to try to create safer communities? That's not, this is not how you're doing it.
This affects everybody but the criminals that are.
Yep, and again, if you go to gold.org, there's a summary page that breaks down the bill a little bit more so you can understand it, because we will be here for probably 2 hours to explain it, because I think it's what was it, 144 pages originally, the bill, and now it's chapter 135 in Act of 2024, if anybody wants to look it up in the mass.gov and look at the law itself. But
goal.org, you can go, you can get the full breakdown, you can print it out, it's pages and pages and pages.
Yep.
For us, it truly affects the way we teach.
Yes.
And the content that we teach, and how we are able to get people the classes that they need to be able to apply for their license here in Massachusetts.
And you know, honestly, it's unconstitutional.
Of course.
It's discriminating, it's unconstitutional, and we can go into that too. But I know we have a group photo of the petitions of everybody. So this was our last swap. So a swap was all these individuals are volunteers or county captains of their district. County captains, I was for Bristol County, and so basically that meant that we tried to gather a team within that county to collect petitions, get them to the town hall for the clerks to certify, and then we have to take those certified petitions and send them to the state. So there's a lot of people here that worked very hard, but there's a lot of people that aren't here that worked hard as well, that was part of the team for each county captain. And I can tell you, I am so happy to say that I met some amazing patriots along the way. And you probably recognize a few people in that picture. Toby, Cal's over on the other side. Do you know Cal? Wayne Adams, John McWeeny, Wendy's there. There's a whole, there's some people don't even know that I just met.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand the caliber of effort. I mean, we're saying it, but me, just little old me, right? I had a whole bunch of petitions. My friends from Taunton signed it. My friends from Dighton. I had like 16 different cities, and each city had to have its own petition, okay? They had to be written legibly with no scribbles. That's hard. That's hard to get people to sign legibly, right? So anyone who didn't sign legibly, we ran the risk of that signature getting thrown out. It was very stressful. We had to come up with 50,000, which doesn't seem like a whole lot when we have 7 million people here in Massachusetts, and it affects everyone, non-gun owners and gun owners. But it was very stressful. And then you have to take each petition to its own town.
So that's what those swap.
Yeah,
that swap
like it is. It was an unbelievable amount of effort put into this, and it really truly was. Thank you guys for everything you did to step up and be. What did each leader have? What was your name? What was your title?
Oh, county captain.
Yeah, county captain. Like nobody gets paid
And
for
I'll
that.
tell you, I have to fully disclose that I have two amazing people that I want to shout out to, Mark and Frank. If it wasn't for those two, I don't know, I would have been going out of my mind, because a lot of these people that decided to be county captains also worked a full-time job. And you know, I had many nights where people called me all the time. Where can I get petitions? Where can I get petitions? I have them here. I have them here. I'll meet you there. You know, and then pass them out to everyone, and then tell them and explain to them what they need to do and how do they need to do it. You know, and what you cannot do for the petitions. And that was a task, and those two took upon, like they're like county code captains.
How about when we called the state to find out how they process the signatures? Did they feed them in a machine? And the guy said he did it by hand.
Yes, so I was curious because somebody told me something a little different, and so I called up the state, found the number, called up the state and said, how do you handle these petitions? And they said, we hand count them.
Hand count them.
So they don't hand count the actual number, the actual, you know, because that's already been certified by the town. So they count, because on the actual page it will say 14 certified, 7 certified from the town.
So they're just
they
adding.
count. Yeah, they just count.
Each petition had 14 signatures.
Yep, and look to see if there's any ambiguous marks and/or coffee or
but
anything
still
else.
at that point, they could still throw those away.
If there's something they're
Yeah,
questioning.
that stressed me out so bad, because here we are in a blue state, right? We know that a lot of these people aren't for this, right? They don't want to stop this.
I'm assuming when anybody works for the state, they have an oath that they have to follow.
Well, I hope so, but we all know what oaths are. I mean, if you're looking at oaths, then this law should have never been passed.
Right.
If you're looking at oaths.
And it was crazy because we worked so hard, and that night with that picture, if you can pull that picture up again, because that picture, oh my God, it says a million words.
And that's just a fraction of the people.
Yeah, because not all the county captains could make it, and that was the last swap. So I'm going to have you keep that up because I want you to visualize this. Okay, so when you had a swap meeting, every single county captain brought either boxes or bags of petitions that they collected, and they put it on a big table and they separated it from A to Z. Right, towns from A to Z, and then someone would grab it and put in boxes, Berkeley, Attleboro, Dighton, and you'd separate all these petitions, and then the county captains would go and grab each petition that was in their county, bring it home, and then get it to the town clerk. Can you imagine?
I can't imagine.
You should have seen this room. There was petitions everywhere.
I can't imagine.
But if you want to know who the Civil Rights Coalition is, it's a grassroots organization formed by private citizens in Massachusetts committed to protecting and preserving the constitutional right for all residents. And so just check it out. They have a website. This is not done because we have 2 years to now explain to them, to the Massachusetts residents, what does this question mean?
Right, so it's on the ballot.
It's on the ballot.
Now, all of these Massachusetts residents have to vote on the question, whatever question it's going to be, on the 2026 ballot.
Right, so you know how confusing that is, right?
Oh gosh, yeah. You get that little red book in Massachusetts that explains, it's like this thick, explaining 3 questions, right? Or whatever
3 questions, and you're like, what? So yes, it's kind of crazy because, so if I vote no, what does that mean? If I vote yes, what does that mean? And so it's now it's a matter of making sure that the messaging gets across to everybody in the Commonwealth because
and
it's
from
important.
what I understand too is there's no line item that you can take out. It's all or nothing, right?
Right. The summary is what it is. So Gold did the referendum. Mike Harris wrote it. It gets sent to the state, and from what I understand, they read it and they tweak it and they put it to what they think was the way it should be written. So that's not always to our advantage. And so it gets to the point where it's like, really? So now it's about the messaging. Now it's about getting the message out. So Toby Leary has been working so hard, and he is an amazing patriot. And trying to get the word out there. So
he's got a lot on the line. I mean, he has that gun shop. That's his livelihood.
I know.
So if this bill continues to stay passed, this law, if it doesn't get squashed, it's going to devastate his livelihood.
Hunting, everything.
Yeah.
So check out Goal's website. There's a summary breakdown that explains it. Check out the coalition's website as well. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, please reach out to sistersinarms2022@gmail.com. I can't believe this is over because I have so much more to say. Yeah, it is. I know.
Stay safe. Train.
Train. Stay safe. Thanks for joining.